Thank you, Megan. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here to be a part of this community and being willing to be part of moving forward in a different way. My name is Keiser. My business is Wild Oak Hollow, and I help rural residential communities and large agricultural communities create community grazing cooperatives for ecological stewardship, for regenerative land management, for vegetation management using animals, and I also get grant funded so I can help lower income communities to create sustainable land stewardship projects with their animals so that they can be safe from fire, so they can be fire breaks as we're moving into urban areas, so they have the skills, the knowledge, the ability, the capacity to do this work, and they do it collaboratively and together so that no one has that job to do by themselves. I also work with Sonoma SASS, and I've worked with different county representatives and Sonoma Ag and Open Space. We had a community education event up on Fitch Mountain last year. As we had goats there, we were working with the fire marshals, with the district supervisor up there, with Mike McGuire came to talk about how do we steward this land differently. I am blessed to work with a couple of indigenous fire ecologists who help guide those community education events and teach us how to go back to stewarding this land the way they did for 11,000 plus years to come back to a healthy fire ecosystem. So where I come in with this work is, instead of just looking at coming to this with how do we stop Caltrans from doing something, or how do we support them and give them the tools and the way forward so they know how to do it differently. Roundup pesticide use has been a tool for a long time for vegetation management, for caring for roadsides, for communities, for homeowners, without understanding the impact and without understanding what that was doing to their soil, what that was doing to their environment. So coming back and shifting out of that, especially for big public entities, it can be incredibly financially difficult. They may not understand the tools or the way forward to do it. So we're here to talk about giving tools, building a collaborative relationship. We in Sonoma County are very blessed to be at a place with the county parks doing really, really great things, evolution, changing the way they're We're really lucky to have it. We're lucky to have district supervisors that are on board that are making these changes. They're really conscious of doing policy changes for climate action, for community resiliency, for vegetation management, so we can live on this land safely and healthy. So coming and giving the tools, the support, bringing together in collaboration rather than feeling we're extracting a tool and taking it away and forced oversight, we can come in and gradually remove that tool or greatly reduce it because we're giving them other tools that work better and are more sustainable and more regenerative for our landscape. And that's why I'm here, to be a part of this and to also be that support person, because if you don't know the tools, if you don't have a different way forward, it's really hard to change. So I see Sonoma County as having an opportunity to be a pilot county. One of my friends from Grazing School up there. To be a pilot county, to work with Caltrans and say, let's pilot this in our county. Let's do it differently. Let's do it regeneratively. Let's do our roadsides well. Let's see what happens. Let's create a budget way forward. The parks maybe be able to help that because they made the change. Let's do this and show that it can be done so that it can spread it out and give them the tools to do that. And that's how we can make a real big change in a small way in our county. Also, I want to say, the last thing I want to say is I've worked with a lot of fire specialists in a lot of lands that have been burned, to help communities that have lost their homes, to come back on the land, to have their own animals, and to feel safe and be able to steward that land well. What we have learned in all these fires, what we've learned in even small fires, is that Roundup isn't a tool that actually works for, any chemical isn't a tool that works for vegetation management. If you're using it to stop fires, to control the vegetation growth, all you have is tall, dry vegetation, so it doesn't actually limit fire. It can actually encourage a chase of a fire on the Roundup trail. So if we want to think about us living in a fire ecosystem, if we want to think about our West County, which has not yet dealt with a fire, so has a lot of fire load, and we need to take care of it and make sure it is taken care of, we need to not use a system that could potentially create a spread of fire and happen faster. So thinking not just about it being a tool that may be toxic, but a tool that isn't actually effective for why we're using it. We've used mowing. I'm always an advocate for animals because I think they're far more regenerative. I think grazing animals can do a huge evolution of our landscape and put all of this good soil, organic matter. Let's take care of our soil. Let's change the way we do things in our county and and to that we do go forward looking at it as it is our obligation to tend this land and do it better. And that's the way forward.